My name is Shaquille Harris, and this is my Seahawk Spotlight.
My name is Shaquille Harris. I'm from Miami, and my position is small forward. I started in 8th grade. I started pretty late. Before that, I used to just play sports for like fun. I didn't really take it serious until 8th grade. I tried out for the basketball team. I was pretty good at it, so stuck with it. And then I would say my freshman year, I made the team, my junior varsity team, and then I practiced for like a week, and then they moved me up to varsity. And ever since then, that's when I started taking it serious. So, and then from there, just started working on my game a lot more, started getting better every year. Honestly, I just, used my height as an advantage, and then I figured that I was just so good at it when I first started, so I was like, I can be really good if I continue to work on my game continuously. So I just stuck with it, and it was fun to play. So I met Chief, I think it was either my junior year or my sophomore year. It was during my I was playing travel basketball, and we was out for a tournament, and he was at Edgar College at that time, so they reached out to me, my coach. So that's when I first met Chief, and then we stayed in touch over the years, and then they offered me. I ended up committing there late during my senior year. I committed there, so that's when I met Chief around that time.
I met Shaq about the end of his junior years, about 2016. So we've known each other for quite a bit. When he was going into his senior year, I got a chance to really recruit him and get to know him. And that was something big at Edgar College. We wanted to make sure that we spent time to get to know the players that we're bringing in. He's a very talented, skilled kid, but we wanted to see it, find out what type of person he was. And I mean, getting to know his parents, his sister, he was definitely a kid that I wanted to have on our team. So I went to our head coach, told him, hey, this is our guy, and we're blessed to have him, a part of our recruiting class that year. There was a transition from head coaches during Shaq's sophomore year. He actually redshirted during that season, so he decided to transfer. And about a month later, I was blessed to get the job at Kaiser University. So my first phone call when it came to recruiting was to Shaquille.
I had a good relationship with Chief, so he ended up coming here. So I didn't want to stay at Edgar playing for another coach. I wanted to continue playing for Chief. So, he got the head coach job here. So I ended up following him over here because I enjoyed, playing for him. He's a great guy on and off the court. He loved all his players. So, I want to play with somebody like that. It was a Sunday, whatever, we were at my friend's house. We're on a four-wheeler, we're riding, and I guess the person that was driving, he was like, I'm gonna speed up, and he did a countdown, 3, 2, 1, but I was in the back, so I couldn't hear, so I wasn't holding on tight. And I guess when he sped up, I fell off, and they kept driving, and like five seconds later, they turned around, and I wasn't there, and I was on the ground, just out. By the time they ran back, I guess somebody else, a random person, had seen me fall off, so they already had called the ambulance and stuff. So by the time they got to me, and let's say a minute or two passed by, the ambulance was already pulling up. So wherever they got there, I don't remember anything. So they got there, and I was out for 30 seconds, and then I was bleeding from my head, and the blood was coming out my ears and stuff. So ambulance got there, they put me into the ambulance, and then they had to drive me to get airlifted to the hospital. I went into a coma as soon as I got to the hospital. When I came in, they called my mom and told her I had a very slight chance of living because I fractured my skull, fractured my right ear. I was internally bleeding, so they said usually accidents like that, people don't make it through.
Building a bond that we have, Shaq's like family to me. So when I heard that, it's that was a son of mine or a nephew of mine. And I told my wife, and my wife just broke down in tears and stuff because the story we got it was basically he was in a coma. We immediately prayed. I tried to get in touch with the parents, so I understood like what they were going through, and we day by day we got more information.
I remember is waking up either Monday night or Tuesday morning, and I remember waking up to the nurse. She woke me up. She's like, "Hey, like, you remember what happened?" I'm just like, I don't know, like, why am I here? I gotta go to practice. Like, that's the first thing, when I woke up, that's the first thing I said. I was like, I gotta go to practice. I got practice today. She's like, oh no, you can't go. Like, do you know what happened? And I was just confused sitting in the bed, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, what's really going on? Why am I here? And then she was like, oh, you was involved in an ATV accident. And at first I didn't really remember anything. I'm just like, oh, ATV, when was I on ATV? So then she just like asked me that, and then she's like, oh, you know what day it is? And I'm like, nah, I don't know what day it is. I just gotta go to practice. Like, I just stayed on the practice topic for a little minute. And she was just telling me the day, and then she's like, oh, like you was in an accident, whatever. So then she left, I ended up going back to sleep. And then she woke me up again. I think then it had to be, yeah, so the first time she woke me up, it had to be Monday. So then Tuesday, she woke me up again, and she asked me the same question. She's like, oh, you know why you're here? So for a second I was confused, and I was like, yo, I was never on ATV, like what's going on? And then like whatever, she asked me the same question, she left the room, and then I stayed away for like another like 5-10 minutes, and I started thinking like, oh, I really was on ATV. So I ended up going home a lot earlier than what they expected, because when I went in, they thought I was gonna be in the hospital for about 3 months. I ended up going home in like 3 days, 2 days. So, I was recovering pretty fast. I went home, and the recovery process lasted about a total of, I think, 5 months. But for that first week, after I got home, I went home Tuesday. I don't remember anything until like Saturday. Like, I guess I was just, in my bed, asleep the whole time off the medication they gave me. So I was in my bed the whole time, and I remember waking up Saturday. And that's when I really started to remember everything else. But I remember throughout the week a little bit, like some people came to visit me. Chief actually drove down. He came to my house and visited me.
The first time he went home, I was there probably within the next 2 days to go down to see him, and he couldn't really respond to anything, but just to be able to hold his hand next to his bed, and see him, make me feel good.
Saturday, that's when I actually like got up out of my bed, just walked around the house for a little bit, and then went back to my bed because I couldn't really do much because it was a head injury, so it was serious. Recovery, I would say at first it was pretty hard because like I was actually questioning myself if I was able to come back and continue playing basketball because it was such a serious injury. So it was kind of tough at the beginning, but then my family and friends, they started they're talking to me and telling me I can come back.
In my 10 years as an assistant and associate head coach, no, we have never dealt with an injury like that. And then year 2 of being a head coach, this happens to one of my favorite guys all time as a coach. So Shaq called me up and said he was cleared during the summer, and I really wanted Shaq to graduate. I said, no matter what, if you can't dribble the ball at all, I want you to come in, be by my side, and hopefully you'll graduate within the next year or two. And Shaq jumped on the court within, I think, the month of August, and I was surprised.
3 subs entering the game. It's number 33, Shaquille Harris. Good to see him back on the court. Finds Harris in the middle, who with a strong move puts it off the glass and in. Harris with the finger roll. Count the basket and the foul. A minute remaining. Kaiser up by 10. Harris for 3. Put it on the board.
I knew he hadn't played basketball in about 3 to 4 months, but as he started to get conditioned, started to get back in the gym, get shots up. Next thing you know, 2 months later, first week of the season, he's Player of the Week. I'm just so happy he's back playing basketball again. I'm excited for him this last year, his senior year, after everything that he's went through. Like, it's truly a blessing for him to be back on that court.
The lesson I learned was just to appreciate everything. Because at any moment, anything can get taken away. Anything you love to do can get taken away really quick like that. Like in that moment, I thank God that I was able to come back and actually continue playing. Because, sometimes like you get an injury and you can't continue playing after that. So like, I kind of appreciate basketball a lot more. and everything I do a lot more, because that injury could have just ended everything and I wouldn't be able to be here today. After Kaiser, I want to continue playing basketball, probably go overseas, play professional and get paid for playing basketball, something that I love to do. So that's hopefully the next step for me.